It's your boy Xander and Isaac at the World War II Corner, History Corner, you already know. The Munich Agreement. Placed by Neville Chamberlain to stop Germany from taking more land. But that did basically nothing, because they continued to take more land despite what the Munich Agreement did. It was like a wall, but that wall was made out of nothing but dirt and water. So it collapsed easily and prevented nothing from getting past. Absolutely nothing was prevented by the Munich Agreement. Anyway, Germany just kept seeking more land, and then eventually went to war with the United Kingdom or Great Britain. Get in there. The Allied powers consisted of Great Britain, Russia, and the United States. After Germany began bombing Great Britain, the UK called upon the United States for assistance. However, they were dealing with a war in the Pacific against Japan. But they did provide help. Japan, Italy, and Germany were all on the Axis powers side, helping each other out. Nazi Germany was basically the ringleader of the Axis powers, because they took over most of the land in World War II. The strategy used by Germany in World War II, known as Blitzkrieg, they used it to quickly take land in countries and territories. It consisted of fast-moving troops that the enemy had no chance to react to what was coming.
Rosie the Riveter was started. It was started to recruit women to do jobs that you would normally see men doing. The reason this started was because men were at war. The result of this campaign was that the women workforce increased from 27 to 37%. The cause of Adolf Hitler's death was because Hitler was being hunted by Soviet troops. In result of his action, Germany formally surrenders on the date of May 7th, 1945.
Alright, so island hopping. Basically, what would go on is troops would move from island to island, taking each island, setting up a base there so where they can take the next island to eventually reach the Japanese mainland. This caused the Americans to quickly be able to take islands and reach the Japanese homeland and use those islands as a launching point for their eventual nuclear strike on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Pearl Harbor was bombing of Pearl Harbor, which brought U.S. into war. The Battle of Stalingrad was a big turning point during World War II because Germany had a big defeat and lost a bunch of troops.
Alright, so D-Day. It allowed American, British, just Allied troops generally into, Europe. So that way they could eventually reach Germany and finally put a stop to the war in Europe, hopefully. Major turning point in World War II in general.
The Battle of Midway was a big turning point during World War II because Japan doesn't like backing down or surrendering at all. But in this battle, they lose the first battle in control of Pacific Ocean.
The Japanese thought Pearl Harbor was a good thing at first, because they thought it would keep the U.S. out of the war. However, it just made them angry, and they just got rid of funding, and they actually came into the war, which they were not before. Okay, so Pearl Harbor is kind of a good and a bad thing for the U.S. because it did kill many people. However, it brought them out of the Great Depression because they were in a war and it got brought into the war. So they began producing war supplies, bringing them out of the Great Depression and into a new era of American life.
We're not getting paid.
Okay, so what's going on is basically women, they thought it was a good thing that they could work because they could finally support their families. Well, the man or the man of the house basically was at war. Timer made a bomb. Very bad for the Japanese because that bomb, those two bombs actually, were going to be used on them. Little Boy and Fat Man is what they're called. First dropped was Little Boy onto Hiroshima. Nagasaki then received the Fat Man. However, it killed less. It was a bigger, larger, more devastating bomb. But it landed inside of a valley, making it less devastating to the area around it. But the U.S. thought this was a good thing because they were finally able to put an end to the war once and for all and save many American lives, probably millions of American lives, just by dropping a bomb instead of sending troops into Japan. Okay, so you want to know who benefited from the war? I would say the U.S. did kind of benefit because they were brought out of the Great Depression. And Britain, I mean, they were bombed most of the time, but they got to prove themselves worthy of being a world power. Russia, on the Allied side, they took most of the beating of the war. However, they were also able to prove themselves worthy of being a world superpower. Who did not benefit from the war? I would say Germany, Italy, and just really anyone on the Axis powers or European countries taken over. Especially the Jewish community in Europe, because they were beaten back and killed by Nazi Germany as of orders of Hitler. And this is because he just kind of did not like them. And I would say Germany did not benefit because they lost many, German lives. But, every other country also lost millions and hundreds of thousands of lives. However, being on the losing side, that just kind of made it worse because they were already in debt from World War I. So I can't imagine what they had to do after World War II and being the main cause of it.
On a 30-minute. World War I was different from World War II because in World War I it was much shorter and much slower paced due to the lack of weapons. And in World War I there was trench warfare. In World War II there was very little trench warfare and it was much quicker pace. In World War II there was the first use of nuclear bombs in warfare. World War II is different than any war fought today because it was the first instance of nuclear bombs being used in warfare. And we have not used nuclear bombs in warfare since.
It was your boy, Xander and Isaac, at the World War II History Corner. You already know. Peace out.